Why? Yeah. So YG
This
dropped a new
isn't
track
it.
called 2004.
I'm sorry.
Well, look,
You
I'm
go
gonna
to the
read
YouTube.
what it says here, detailing how he got sexually assaulted as a minor by a much older woman, and we're gonna play a little bit of that record right now. Please, YouTube, don't mess with us.
Like Men in Black. I got the gloves.
When I was young, I got raped by a bitch twice my age. Picked me up from school to me to hers and got laid. Ever since that day, I never looked that shit the same.
All right.
Fuck the
Shut up. Shut up.
in the brain. Pussy what I blame. Fried so you know why I like chicken wings. My
Nah,
life is
I'm done.
insane. Like I'm
I'm
from
I don't understand why Kano laughed at, bro.
For one,
I get why he laughing because
For one,
first of all,
that's
first of
true.
all, I'm not. No, let me finish what I was gonna say. I mean, the transition, like you wasn't expecting him to start off like I got raped, and then like he just says that, and then the woman was like, "Oh, I was not expecting that." Like that I was laughing at just of how abrupt and how weird that transition was. But I guess that was supposed to perk your ears. Like this is not a song for for the clubs. This ain't a song for like I'm preferencing it right now to let you know like this is an emotional song. So I have no qualms on this, and I think that stuff happens, and yeah.
Yo, this man is
like it happens to
insane.
women, it happens to men.
Yeah, that suit is
Men,
so crazy.
it happens to men with other men, and it happens to men with women and women with men. This stuff happens.
His suit looks so oversized. It's like that's like the I gotta go to court suit, and I don't really have the
I feel like that's what he's going
suit.
for though.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why. The thing that got me that threw me off was the delivery here. Like, for such a serious thing.
He's not saying. I don't understand. He trying to go for the deep Kendrick Lamar. I got depth to my personality. When boy, you did not care. So how long have you been a rapper for? 10 years? This is the first time you telling me you got raped? Get out of my face, please. Just go home, recalibrate, and go find depth somewhere else, bro. This is insanity. This did not affect you. Not brain dead because you got some poom when you was 14, bro. That's not how. All right, man. Nah, go ahead.
Okay.
So this part right here.
When I was young, I got raped by a bitch twice my
So that whole thing, like
that's what I'm talking about. That transition was weird.
yeah, like why does she look like that? It annoys me when it doesn't match up. Like I don't know, the delivery here is on something such a serious line doesn't.
Maybe if she was ugly, I can see how you felt you got raped. Maybe if she was ugly, my fault. If she was ugly and old, I'm sorry.
Let me see what you think about what this guy's saying then.
Yo, God, you be blessing the wrong ones. I'm telling you.
Weiss's age sexually assaulted him. And he literally says in the song, ever since then, I've never seen sex the same. I've never seen women the same. Look, I grew up in a house full of men. I grew up around a lot of guys. I grew up playing sports, spent a lot of time in locker rooms. Let me tell you something that they're not saying to their wives and to their girlfriends and to the people and to the women in their lives. An older woman pressuring them into sex at a very young age happens all the time. It has happened to way more men than you think. And you're probably thinking, oh, but not so-and-so, not him. Yeah, probably him too, especially in the black community. Take this from a man who is in rooms with men when you're not around. Think about the amount that you think that happens. Double that. And it's a hard thing to conceptualize. You're like, well, there's no way men are just walking around the world, watching the entire world discuss sexual abuse, listening to me talk about my sexual abuse, and he's been through it too. He got pressured into sex too. He got abused when he was a kid too, and he's not saying anything about it. You'd be surprised. Look, if I came on here and I started talking about how men perpetuate sexual violence among women, and how it creates a domino effect of damage in those women's lives and in their decision making and in their relationships with other people, and how the data back that up, as I have many times, that video would get tons of views and it would be accepted and it would be understood with nuance. But the data also implore us to have another conversation that we simply refuse to have. And it's the fact that studies show that women disproportionately perpetuate child abuse and related fatalities in the formative years of men. And as with any early abuse, it often creates rage, aggression, but most importantly, it creates new abusers. That has to matter. It has to, if we are any type of serious about improving the lives of young women, if we are any type of serious about understanding why 20% of adult women in America have been raped by men, why 52% of adult women in America have experienced sexual violence from men, if that matters, it has to also matter that men are experiencing violence as children and mothers as the sole perpetrators of that violence account for 39% of it. Whereas fathers are accounting for less than 21% of it, that they're over indexing almost a 2-to-1 ratio. That has to matter.
That's a very true statement. Whether or not you think that relates to YG and his situation, I don't think it doesn't change the fact of the data, but also just other experiences of Black families, or families in general. I think I'll go as far as to say that other races deal with this kind of trauma, and we don't talk about it enough, because I think the elephant in the room, and it should be in the room as well, like women being the victims of those women, but at the same time, like there's this like you said, a self-fulfilling prophecy that happens that creates more victims and creates more abusers, and that also needs to be looked at as well if we want to like really make an impact on like making less abuse crimes happen in America.
Jay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is your problem with this?
I don't have a problem with this. If you feel like a victim, you feel like a victim. But I get to laugh at it because I think it's ridiculous.
Okay,
But
so but you think it's ridiculous.
A little bit.
So is that because it's YG and you feel like he's doing like a grab right now? Or
yes, I think that is a big part of it. Yeah.
Or is it that you don't believe that men can get raped?
How much do I want to share on this podcast with y'all? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's
this is like for the whole world, right?
I mean, unless we edit it out, this is not live.
Well, I go about it, and maybe I'll share it eventually. I don't know how my mind works, but I'll say like I've shared situations I've had with people, and they'll try to convince me and be like, "Oh, you were a victim," and it's like, "No, I wasn't." From no, I'm 12. Shorty's 22. Shorty known me my whole life though, kind of basically. This is real stuff because going back to my mother, I asked her once. I was like, "Yo, when it was like 1 a.m, 12 at night, and Shorty would like call my house phone, and my mom would be like, "Yo, so and so was on the phone." I'd be like, "You knew who that was, and you knew what age they was. Why would you pass me the phone? Like why did I get the phone at that time? You know what I mean?" We never smashed, so I can't say I'm like truly YG in that situation because we didn't hit, but like I did get. Can I say head on YouTube? Yeah, right. Like that did happen. So like I was 12, she was 22, and that happened. And the only thing I'm mad about is that she didn't let me crack. That's the only thing about that situation where I go back and I think about it and I'd be like, damn, that was messed up. Is that it didn't go all the way. That's the only thing. I don't feel like, oh, she made me do it because I know it sounds crazy for you to think that, but I did all I could to get into that situation. She probably is the reason why I rap, because this is, if y'all remember the time, it goes with the time, around 2001 is the Jay-Z Nas beef. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
So this is even before I got that situation. I've been trying to get her attention. I was big Jay-Z. Right? Brooklyn, big Jay-Z. She was the super Nas fan. And she was like, no, Nas is more complex than Jay. Nas does these multi-syllable. Man, I spent the whole summer writing multi-syllables. I was like, and I came out and I was like, yo, shorty, look, I rap like Nas now. I don't feel like a victim at all, to be honest with you. And I knew what I was doing. It's not something where like, oh, because my brain wasn't developed, I didn't know. Bro, I'm telling you, I sat in my room in the conscious effort going, man, how do I get her to like me?
So this woman was obviously showing interest, slight interest. There was a middle school teacher that I thought was bad, but I knew that I'll never have a chance with her because she's an adult and I'm a kid. Us as kids, we would, I guess, try and censor her, but then she would shut it down. She would swat it like a fly.
And then she gave you a shot. Wouldn't you have felt accomplished?
My question to you is that if she didn't even show any semblance of you getting a shot, would you have even gone as hard as to write rhymes for her and do all these different things for her?
Oh, almost like she's kind of like grooming him to have that reaction.
That's the long term, but I'm just talking about here and now.
Well, no, like, in the short term,
that thought even cross your mind when I have to work with adults? You know what I'm saying? If I'm working with adults and I'm a kid, I know that there's an adult and this is a kid. The only time I know that maybe, just maybe, I'll have an opportunity of a lifetime to be with some older woman, kind of like a Stacy's mom situation, is if there was play given. It was play given. She's being unreasonably open with me. She's being unreasonably emotional with me. She's being unreasonably deep with me. And I'm 12 or I'm 13 or I'm 14, and this person is 35, 36 years old and is like having these conversations and like being unreasonably physically close to me and different things like that. There's boundaries, right? So I'm thinking even before boundaries were a big thing in 2025, those things existed when we were kids too. So I feel like so that's why I'm asking, do you think you would have had, like, you would even have a shot had she have not been so deep with you?
Listen, I was trying everywhere I could. That's not the only person. There's other people. There's other teachers, other people who did shut it down. Shout out, she was like the kindergarten teacher. All of us did, bro. We used to at the end of 8th grade, like at the end of class, to just go and just chill in her classroom. And in the beginning, she was with it, right? Because like as far as like students helping, when she realized that it was because we liked her, she shut it down. She was like, no, y'all got to go back upstairs. Like, I'm not playing with y'all like that. She was like, if y'all want to help around the class and just be like cool students, that's cool. But if y'all going to be down here and flirt with me, y'all got to get about my classroom. We, at that age, we were shooting shots everywhere. I mean, at least I was, and the people I was around was. And I gave my story.
But that's the thing. You can shoot shot. I'm not saying you don't have to shoot your shot. I'm saying,
and I do think that's regular at that age.
And yeah, and we're not talking about, we're talking about a different age. This is teenager. This is when we get to experimental stuff. That's when the boundary needs to be made between the teacher and the student, between the adult and the child.
The adult needs to make the boundary.
Now, if this kindergarten teacher was like she's like, oh, I'm gonna play. There might have been a thought in your head like, I'm gonna shoot my shot, but who knows where it will go. That's literally
I know where I wanted it to go.
This is my point. This is what I want to say. You know where you wanted it to go. Let me finish. You know where you wanted it to go, and you had to truly believe that it was gonna go there, right? So either two things could have happened. One, you truly believed that she was gonna get it, and she shut it down, or you thought, you know what, I'm gonna shoot my shot, but it may not go anywhere, and it doesn't go anywhere, and it's like, oh dang, I kind of had a feeling I was gonna go that way. So that's the point I'm trying to make, is that one of those things happened, but both situations, it was clipped from jump because Shorty clipped it. She said, I know this is not happening. And if from there on out, you know, you have to show that person respect. Now, if that person just kept on allowing it, and she was like, "Oh, these people have a crush on me. I like that," and it can continue moving, and then started manipulating that situation because she's older and she's wiser and she knows how to. She would know how to manipulate these situations. Then that's different, and whether you may think it or not, that shows that you were in a place of being the victim, even though you feel like you still got your rocks off, or
I do have a question.
You was a victor in the end of it.
I disagree with you because that's still the case today. I disagree with you. I disagree because that's still the case today. When I shoot my shot with people, like when I shoot my shot, it could get blocked by a shorty today, and if it don't get blocked, I'm not a victim because she allowed the shot to go through.
You were a minor who did not know anything about the situation.
So all right, so let me. This is why I didn't want to share this. This is why I wanted to share this. Do I feel like the shorties in the story were wrong? Yes. Yeah. Like if I had a son and those things happened, I'd probably be upset, right? But I lived it. So I could tell you, I do not feel like a victim. Not at all. Like, because I wanted that.
And I wouldn't want you to, right? I wouldn't want you to feel like a victim. I also want to preference that. Like, I wouldn't want you to feel like a victim. I would want you to, however, sift through that and see if there are other things that's going on there that could better the growth that is Jason, the growth that is Joe, the growth that is Kyle, right? If there's certain situations that's in there, you may not even know that it affected you in a particular way unless if you
really did it. But it really did it. But I shared that to say I've had these conversations with other people around our age, like who are adults who've had, like in the video that we just watched, where a lot of dudes have had those situations, and a lot of dudes have, and they also don't feel like victims, and they don't go around victimizing people. Like, it's not, I don't know. I feel like I can't speak for everybody, but the people who I've met, who I've spoke to, who have had these situations, it's just been like an experience. That's it. That's all it is. It's just like life experience.
And all I'm saying is good. I'm saying is it's good that you're feeling the way that you feel, and you should give that another look.
So I got a question though.
That's why I don't believe YG when I hit a record. I just don't. I don't buy it.
So yeah, I mean, but that is coming from your perspective, because you don't see this as, you know, that, and I do think that you do have a bias, because I think if that was a girl, it would be a whole different story. But because it's a guy, it's not.
No, I know it's unpopular to say, but I do think those situations when it's a boy or girl are completely different. I feel like even as adults, like, I know we like to say equal rights and all that, and that's cute that we could say that. But if you outside and you dating, the majority of the people who are like shooting shots are going to be the men. The majority of the people who are pursuing and they're trying to get something going are the men. Even if a girl is interested, she's going to fall back and wait for you to pursue. For the most part, I know that they exist. I know women exist that pursue, but they're the small percentage. So I do think it is a little different. I think it's different when it's a girl and a boy in that situation. Because I'm telling you, a lot of those 13, 14, 15-year-old boys are actively pursuing. And I have a hard time believing that the 15, 14-year-old girls are pursuing.
If you are in the area of a minor who does not know what's going on, you have no idea, you've never lived 30 years, and this other person has, you may think you have the upper hand or the advantage because you wanted this to happen in the end. She wanted it more than you, bro, because she's been there. She's been here longer. She knows how to manipulate the situation. She has more to lose, and she's putting that situation.
I didn't hit my rhyme book that year though. Like, I killed it that year.
Because I know sometimes when we're desensitized to something, we think that that's the norm, you know, and that's true in other parts of our lives. So I imagine it could be true, especially at an impressionable age.
Bro. The only thing I've lived a pretty regular life after that.
Oh no, yeah. I think that however, I think you may be misconstrued. Just because the life was regular after doesn't mean there wasn't something that possibly negatively affected you at that point in time, even if there wasn't a ripple effect.
I don't like how we was gonna make fun of YG and y'all just made me feel like I need to do some deeper.
That's
digging.
you. That was you. You decided to talk about it. That's
right,
you.
because I wanted to.
Let me
tell you what I wanted.
He was like, I was making a point. I had a point here.
Said it half an hour ago.
What I wanted to say was, man, this happens to mad people and it don't matter. Like, it don't affect nobody like that. Because I could say names of friends I have that I've had these conversations with. I won't. Shout out to y'all, confidentiality. But it's a gang of them and we've gone through it. We've talked about this and we just laugh about it. Like, it's just part of life. So, like, when I hear YG strikes me as the type of guy who in the story would be like, yo, and when I was like in 6th grade, this girl twice my age. You know what I'm saying? Like,
literally, it comes from the fact that men are the conquerors. If I was able to have sex with that girl at that time, I'll be a conqueror. And I could tell my boys all about it, like during recess or during this period. Oh, word! Da, 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 da. Like literally, whenever I hang out with my boys, that's literally the conversations that we had.
Yeah, we all have the moments where we look back like, yeah, that was just life and all that. But I do think that right now we're at a state of evolution. You know, I do think that we're at a state where we're reflecting, we're looking back, and we're pointing out the areas that's like, nah, you know what, that wasn't good. And yeah, we was all cool with it and it was the norm, but it shouldn't have been the norm.
Y'all don't think it's possible at all that YG is taking advantage of this new thing that we're going through. And he wants to add depth to his personality by going, hey guys, did I ever tell you about the time I was raped?
So there's this aspect where, YG could be like, you know, and then he goes into how, like, actually we all end up doing this in some way or another, profiting off of this idea of authenticity. So yeah, and those are two different things though. One side, we're addressing like your perspective. You know, what do you think, and kind of deep diving into the mind of
we got lost in the sauce with
right. But you might be right. You might be right. He might be trying to profit off of authenticity. You know, absolutely. So I'm not saying you're wrong for thinking that way. You know, and also I don't know too much about YG, so. You know, you might know more where it's just like, nah, this dude's always gonna like bandwagon something to make money off of it. And you could be right. But this idea in general, I think it's interesting. And I think that as men, we overlook it way too much because it's just socially acceptable. And then
he bangs a hood. So like at his hood day, they gonna be like, so YG, you was raped. You think he gonna be like, nah, blood, that's like a real sensitive topic for me, blood. Like you think like that's going like you really feel like he be like, on Paru, blood. I feel like I was taking advantage of, blood. Like you feel like.
But once again,
like he getting that one
not?
But once again, that's a conversation that should be able to be had.
Yes, see, that's the point,
and have a discussion, and you won't feel judged because of that situation. We're supposed to grow from that.
I do think what ends up happening is that a lot of social constraints or certain social traditions that will keep us in a box also, like this is how we all have to think and this is how we all have to operate, will end up leaving a lot of people not held accountable. You know, when a lot of adults. Yeah, a lot of adults are not held accountable for, adult women for what they did to adolescent males, you know? And that's because it don't matter that 14-year-old wanted to get some poom poom anyway. It don't matter. He wanted the cheeks. Like, yeah. Like, because at 10 years old, he's got to have that, you know? Like, go ahead, kid.
It's abuse when you don't want it.
Because
there are situations where you don't want it.
We do it for the pleasure and we do it for the story. Like, literally, I think I remember me saying, like, yo, if I could be with this 8th grade teacher, if I can get with her or whatever, that's a story for the ages, bro. That's literally the story for the ages, and I'm able to tell my boys what I did or this, that, and the third. But you have to be real with yourself. It wasn't you, fam. It wasn't you.
Nah, you
It
ain't
was
hear my.
Shorty. It was the
Nah,
8th
you
grade
ain't
teacher,
you.
bro.
First of all, y'all don't even know the work I put in to be in that room. Me personally, but like,
but yo,
I was on the phone at 1 in the
just
morning,
remember,
listening to her talk about her man and
is
her.
Old enough. She's old enough where that didn't even have to matter. You didn't even have to do that. She already knew from jump that she's going to get you. She already knew from jump. You wrote a rhyme for no reason. I mean, you're a fire rapper now, like you're a fire artist. I guess that's a benefit. You was a fire artist, but at the end of the day, you didn't have to write that rhyme. At some point, she was gonna do what she was gonna do.
Yo, have you also ever thought that maybe like, you know, every verse you've ever written since then was because you were trying to win her back?
Nah, I don't think
that's not funny.
But to answer your question though, Joe, because you asked, do I think men can be whatever? I think if they don't want it, yeah, because those situations exist where it'll be like a relative or older relative uses their power to, you know what I'm saying? Like that happened on Kelly.
But you wouldn't say that about a girl.
What are you even talking about?
Like if a girl wanted it, it don't matter. If it don't matter if
men and women are different.
I know that they're different, obviously. Yeah, you have to acknowledge that. But certain things happening to them, like by an adult to an adolescent, an illegal thing.
No, wait. What did Martin say? I didn't hear him.
I said I 1,000 disagree with that particular statement. Men and women.
I do too.
Situation. Men and women, yes, men and women are different. Their bodily functions are different. Yeah, but everything else is very societal. If a woman was in this predicament, the R. Kelly situation is 1,000% could be a great example of that. These women were trying to become stars. R. Kelly was supposed to be the star maker. He manipulated them into thinking that they will be stars if they were to have sex.
Yeah, but he was the actor. He was the person.
But at the
he used
same
to send his
time,
boys to McDonald's.
turn it around.
He'd be like, "Yo, get me the sophomore."
You turn it around, and R. Kelly was doing that. Let's say to other men. We already know that stuff. It happens to both parties. It happens to both sexes. It happens to both genders.
I want to read this also because I thought this comment was very interesting. Almost every man I've dated, including ex-husband, has had this happen to them. But I'm nosy. You said what? Yeah, I know, right? Why was that? Just leave him as a past, you know, whatever. But I'm nosy and I ask questions and it always comes out. I remember one guy acted like it was a great thing until I asked him if he would be okay with that with his son, who was at the age he had been for his first encounter, and he looked at me and said no. The next day he told me that talking to me was the first time he ever realized he was a victim. And the last thing here, this American culture has aggrandized, all right, and romanticized Stacy's mom and Stifler's mom and hot for teacher, etc., etc., making jokes about it. It's not cool, never been cool. This is a conversation and revolution we need to have. So, yeah, I just feel like these statements are two statements that are very true. We wouldn't be okay if it was our own child, boy or girl, right? And I think we're at an impasse where we're trying to, you know, evolve, like I said, as men.
Time out. Wait a minute. Now we're going to get on here and lie. We're going to lie.
Who's lying?
We're going to get on here and lie because it's 2025 and the societal pressures to be right.
I'm not lying.
And be
but I feel like the pendulum swings, my guy.
If you had a son, if both of y'all had a son, and he 14, 15, and he cracked a bad teacher, you're upset?
Yes. Yes, bro. No. But I'm not a teenager anymore, dude. I'm not a teenager anymore. I'm a father. That's a different situation. I'm not giving him a pound. I'm going up to the school. You just violated my child.
Two things. I agree with what Joe's saying, but I'm in conflict with that answer.
I'm a little
Two reasons why I'm not, number one, I'm not a dad, and number two, I've had a father who would praise me for something like that.
I do think that the older generation would do that.
I understand.
That's an older generation thing that most older generation dads would do.
I'm gonna be like, yo, Jason Jr., did you want that? And then he gonna be like, yeah, she bad. I'm gonna be like, atta boy.
Nah, I wouldn't.
And I think you're wrong.
I have to tell him.
And I think you're wrong. I think that you're stuck, my guy. I think that we cannot be stuck in this phase.
Sky's the limit, my boy.
Just no, that is saying, okay, so is it okay for adults to take advantage of minors then? No, that's what. But you're celebrating what just happened.
You're celebrating the fact that he was manipulated
just because he wanted. Now, I'm not gonna say your daughter because that could seem offensive.
I'm gonna manipulated though. That's what I'm saying. Like, y'all, all right, go ahead. Y'all seem to think just because you under 18, you can't be running the program.
Not with someone who can be lawfully held accountable.
Like you said, there was like a small percentage of women that run game and do all of that. There's a small percentage of young people who could be who can manipulate that situation. A small percentage, I will give you that. But you have to understand there's a larger percentage of people where it's like that manipulation is a real thing. That manipulation is real. You thought that I said you must be from Mississippi because you're the only 10 that I see, right, Miss? And she's like, oh wow, he's so cute, man. I'm gonna let him bust my cheeks. You know, like yeah, like that's great. Yeah, I can't wait. Oh man, you know, like you thought, but that's not what happened.
Who talks like that?
She willed for that to happen.
Because the thing is, that same conversation you would not have with your daughter.
It's different. It's different. I don't care what y'all say, man. I agree. I agree with the memes where it's value in the key that can open mad locks, but not the lock that can get opened by mad keys. And y'all can just it is what it is, man. Like that's how I feel personally.
My point is that societally we created these things. So the restrictions that you're placing are created by society, passed on by tradition. It does not mean that it's right. Just like certain things in the past time wasn't right.
Baby girl can't be a hoe, but you could. It's different. You gotta raise your kids different, bro. You gotta raise it the way you raise your son, the way you raise your daughter. Gotta be different, man. You gotta.
But I'm telling you the same.
And people think that shit is crazy, but it's not, because when she has a family,
but the same concept is allowed. Don't let an adult touch your private parts. Same concept is allowed. Don't go alone with strangers.
Unless he but Jay, you said unless he wanted it.
I'm not going to be like a room with another woman and then have sex with her, and now you're literally praising him for literally saying going against your will. You're contradicting yourself.
I'm never going to take him in the room and be like, all right, bro, now you in the big leagues. You 13 now. You got to go shoot for the higher. I'm never going to do that. That's crazy. And I hope he can keep it within his age range, right? But if he cracks something that's over 18, I'm not tripping. I'm not tripping.
But you know, you're missing my point. The concept is still the same. Don't let no strangers, no adults that are strangers touch your private parts. You're telling both parties that, both the man and the woman. You're telling them both. You're telling them to not go into all these secret places by themselves. So now that the son is doing those things, and now he quote unquote cracks the woman in a secluded place where you told him not to go, you're now praising him for him doing that. That's a contradiction.
What if it was a male teacher?
That also shows my point as well.
That's our physiology.
The same thing for women, for young men and for young women that are at that age.
That's our physiology. We hunters. That's how we get down.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, I feel like it's going by too long. I'm not, and once again, I'm trying to tell the crowd. I have very passionate views on this because I know people who go through this stuff. So I do feel like me. I feel like me talking to Kano and I'm not trying to convince him that he should be a victim. I'm not saying that. However he feels is however he feels. I'm just also trying to say that, in all honesty, just because you felt that way doesn't mean that YG should feel the same way that you felt and then put that song out. Yes, like he could be wrong for putting it out as a means to stick with the times and kind of do what Kendrick did and be all philosophical or whatever. He does all that. That's cool and that's fine. I understand that's.
Let me ask you:
At the same time, that doesn't change the fact that YG would have wanted this to come out of his shell, wanted this to come out of his heart and say something deep, and just because that Kano gets to laugh at him for that, that's wrong too.
Do you feel,
all right,
you in your heart, do you feel like that YG verse is genuine? Those opening lines.
I have to hear the whole song. I haven't heard the whole song.